First, just kind of generally, Jen, why don't you start with telling me how you feel the morale is right now within the industry, talking to your peers, just general sentiment. Kind of tell me what you're feeling and what you're hearing out there.
I think it's really mixed. It really depends on, where in the industry your company's at. And by that, I mean, how well were you capitalized going into this? I think how well were you ready to respond? How nimble have you been to adjust? I have some colleagues who are deeply concerned. Most are very optimistic, I think, and are taking a very pragmatic approach to this of we're still here to serve the borrowers. Not seeing anything yet like we did in, and I mean like 08, like 09, 10 was pretty bad. I remember we had so many defaults then, so we haven't quite hit that. But the originations are still very high and very good. So I think people are taking sort of a very, I want to say conservative approach to how they're going forward, but they're trying to quickly navigate and pivot of how they can get ahead of any sort of issues that we're going to see, especially with COVID continuing to go on for a while.
You know what? I'd agree with Jen's statement that depending on how the company or companies came into this environment is going to have a major effect on how they're currently operating. Those with great balance sheets, everybody's been affected. Nobody was immune to this scenario, but it's about how well you came into it is going to depend on how well you're faring through it. The mortgage industry as a whole, we've got a very high tolerance for change, for pain, for all these things, right? That's how we survive in this industry. And I think that as long as everybody's busy funding loans, I think the morale stays relatively high. For those companies that have had to cut back, trim down on how many originations they can do, they've had to spike their interest rates to slow that down, the volume. Those are the areas that you'll see the morale have a shift. But I think it's going to be, based on how well the company or any company can navigate through this. Some will do extremely well, some will fail.
I think you're seeing it from different perspectives, and you'll talk to the same person and they'll come at it from two different ways. First and foremost, you often will hear, I'm so thankful that I still have a job. I'm watching my neighbors or my spouse or my friend who's worried about paying their mortgage and, is grasping at what the forbearance straws look like and what some of those other opportunities are. And so you hear that gratefulness come out. Yet in the very next breath, it's, oh my gosh, my pipeline is drying up, or my volume is this, or this is what my company is doing. And I think a lot of the morale really depends on the leadership inside the organization. How well are they communicating what is going on and the why? Everybody can get the what, they see the memo that comes out. It's when leadership takes an opportunity to communicate that why that you really have the opportunity to impact morale and keep it high, regardless of what continues to happen.
No, I would agree with Christy. I think, Don, too, to your point on the interest rates, another thing that we're seeing is increasing the FICO score minimums for certain products to help stem the tide, especially on some of the non-QM product or Ginnie-backed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, imagine companies that have a business model based on either low FICO or call it non-QM type business. The effect of the last 60 days would have been detrimental to them.
What's the hardest part for lenders right now amidst the high demand? Is obviously the lender eligibility with the changing guidelines, MBS devaluation. What's kind of the thing that the industry is kind of most worried about from that standpoint?